Hi girls. So I'm going to teach and do a flexibility workout that you can all do no matter what. You don't need any space, just some floor space. You need to get some kind of a rope or strap or yoga strap or something like that. Maybe it's about 6 feet long, or belt will do. And we're doing a whole program for the hips, the lower body, the feet. So by the end of that, you should be feeling pretty good. All right. So I have my mat, but you don't even need a mat. All you need is a floor and maybe a little music. So you're gonna start, You're gonna start lying down on your back. Make sure I'm in the frame here. All right. With your knees bent and your feet flat. And you're just gonna bring your knee in, give it a little hug, and then release it down. So we're gonna move through all of the stretches. We're not holding anything very long. So you bring your leg up, and then when you can't go any further on your own, you just give yourself a little assistance with your hands, very gently, and exhaling as you're going into your stretch. And I'm gonna do 8 on each one, but you can do as many as 15, 16, whatever you wanna do. And you just keep yourself moving. All right, you bring your knee in, breathe. Do 4 more times. So you bring the knee in, helping yourself out a little bit when you get to the end of your range of motion. Breathing into the stretch. So moving the leg on its own and then just helping it. I'm going to get my strap or my rope and put it around the arch of the foot. Hold the ends together like this. So then feel where you're going to start, so that you can get your leg completely straight, your back stays down on the floor, your shoulders are staying down, and your knee is completely straight. So if you come back here and you can't straighten your knee, you gotta back yourself off a little bit so you get a nice contraction in the quadricep muscle. Once you feel where you're starting, then from there you're just gonna leave your thigh right where it is, extend the leg, and then bend the knee. So again, just get yourself into a little rhythm. Extend it and breathe. Make sure the back stays down. Make sure you're actively straightening the leg, right? I'm not really using my strap too much. I'm extending and then just giving a little help at the end of that stretch. Do 1 more time on that side, and then change feet. All right, so both knees are bent. Feel where you need to start on the other side. It might be very different. And then you go. And hold. And release. Extend the leg. Breathe. And I do 4 more times. Breathing into the stretch. Keeping the spine nice and neutral on the floor. Exhale as you go up. Nice and controlled. 1 more time. Okay, now take the strap, put it around the arch of the foot. The other leg will be straight out on the floor. So I like to hold the strap together in one hand so it can just kind of slide. As you bring the leg up, the knees stay straight. When you get the top of that range of motion, you're going to give yourself a little help. Try to keep the hips nice and level and down on the floor. The back stays down on the floor. And then you release it all the way to the floor with control. So we come up. Pull it in a little closer and release it all the way down. Bring it up, bring it a little closer, and release it down. Breathing into that stretch, and release for the hamstring. So just bringing the leg straight up and releasing it down. One more time. Now this one I'm going to just change it a little bit. So I'm going to take the strap, I'm going to wrap it around the outside part of the ankle. I'm going to turn my leg out. right? It's a little turnout in the leg now. So as you're lifting your leg up, you can feel it in a little bit different part of the hamstring. As you bring it down, you stay turned out in that leg. So you come up, the leg stays turned out, and then release it down. Keep it turned out as you bring it up, release it down. Nothing else is moving, but the leg is working, and then the strap is assisting. Two more. And then changing sides, so we're going to do both of those stretches on the other side for the hamstring. So just loop the strap around, feel where you're starting on this leg, release it down, stay nice and steady, find a little rhythm, breathing into the stretch, and releasing it down with control. Breathing into the stretch, and releasing it down with control. One more, and now taking the strap, wrapping it around the outside of the ankle now, so I can turn my leg out. So the turnout, just like in ballet, right from the hip, and then that strap is helping. When you wrap it around the outside, it kind of helps you to hold that position. And then you pick it up and do the same thing on that hamstring stretch with your leg turned out. So doing the work, using that prop to help you at the end of your range of motion. Nice and controlled. And now taking the strap off, taking the strap around the other foot. Now this time I'm going to take it around the outside of the ankle again. I'm going to bring my leg down. So now you want to keep your hips as square as possible here, right? So I'm going to take the leg to the outside. I'm going to swing it out like a little pendulum, but not rolling onto my hip over here. So we're staying square and then letting it come back to center. So it's almost like if you were doing a Grand Battement, owl secom, and then you bring it back to center. So you open it out, give it a little assistance, and then release it back in. So really pay attention to the supporting side of your body. And the way I'm using this strap here is I'm holding the ends together. I'm going to lift my leg out. I'm going to grab the strap when I can catch it and hold, and then release it back in. So you bring your leg out like a little Grand Battement, give it an assistance, and then release it back in. Hips are staying square, belly is staying in to stabilize, and then changing sides. Strap around the arch of your foot, wrap it around the outside of your ankle, the leg comes down. Start by stabilizing and organizing your body on the floor, and then you're going to swing that leg out. So I'm holding the ends of the strap here. I'm letting my leg do the work. I'm going to catch that strap as my leg starts to come up toward the side of my head. Give it a little assistance, and release it back in with control, right? So it's like a Grand Battement. The supporting leg stays stable, down on the floor. Again, you can do at least 8 repetitions because you should be able to feel a difference after the first couple. One more, and then release that. Changing feet, taking the strap, wrapping it around the outside of the ankle again. This time I'm going to take my supporting leg straight down. Now I'm going to hold the strap in the opposite hand. So this is my left leg, so I'm holding the strap in my right hand. My left arm is going to go out to the side. All right, now I'm going to turn my left leg out like I'm a little external rotation of the hip, so right here from the hip, and then the leg comes across, but not so far that it turns into a twist. So you don't want to twist,
You want the stretch to happen on the whole outside part of your thigh, your hip. All of this area here should be feeling the stretch. So it may not go very far, right? Think stabilization on the supporting side of your body so that this leg can come across, and then the opposite, the hip that's working stays down as much as you can. Like you would have like a seat belt around your lap, right? And then we take the leg across. I'm doing the work, and then I'm using my hand on the strap just to give it a little assistance, right? When I get about here, and I'm just gonna use my strap to pull it a little gently, a little bit further. And then we switch sides, come across, wrap the strap around the outside of the ankle, hold it in the opposite hand, the other one comes down, we come across the body, stabilize through your hips, organize yourself on the floor. As that leg comes across, you give it a little help, and you return it back up. The leg comes across, you give it a little help, and you return it back up. Making sure that my video didn't stop, sorry. Reorganize myself. Across, and back up. So you want to really, really work that whole outside hip area, the IT band area. And we'll do one more. And then releasing out of that. So you take the strap away. All right, so now we go into the glute. So without the strap, my leg comes up, knee is bent. You're gonna externally rotate your leg, so you turn it out. I'm gonna take one hand to the outside of the thigh, the other hand over to the top of the shin, and then bring that leg gently down. It's kind of like a pigeon stretch on your back. And then you release it down. So you bring it up, you rotate it, you pull it down gently toward your chest, and then you release it down. Up, move the leg on its own. Use your hands to assist very gently. So you don't want to yank or pull on your leg, right? So it's just a little bit of help as my leg is moving in. One more. And still the back stays on the floor, right? So you don't want to like roll yourself around here. You want to keep yourself stable on the floor and release it. Bring the leg up, little rotation in the hip, and bring it across and release it down. So it comes up, little rotation, exhale as that leg comes across, and release. Bring it up, little rotation in the hip, breathing into the stretch, and releasing it down. So you don't have to hold very long, only a couple seconds there. But the idea is just to keep repeating and using the muscles to move the leg and then assist with the hands when you're finished. One more times. Release. And one more time. And release. So I'm gonna come up and onto one side. We're gonna stretch those quadricep muscles. We all love those. So knees tucked in nice and close. You're gonna hold on to the ankle. That's the top, whatever ankle's on top is what you hold on to. Head's gonna come down, this knee stays in nice and close. So then you kick your leg back into your hand and try to stretch the front of that quadricep muscle without arching your back into the stretch, right? So you kick the leg back. I'm using the glute on my, right? I'm really firing up this glute muscle to kick the leg back to stretch the front of the quad. And then release. And you kick it back and you breathe into the stretch and release. And kick it back and breathe into the stretch and release. A few more times. We'll do one more. And then over to the other side. So, swing yourself. Knees come in nice and close to the chest. Hold on to the ankle on top. Kick the leg back into your hand. Breathe and release it forward. Being really careful not to arch your back here, right? So you really want to focus on staying on your side. Stay down on your side so that you're not arching your back and coming out of your alignment. Keep kicking the leg back, so I'm moving this leg. I'm not so much pulling on it. I'm just really, really moving it back to get that stretch in the front of your thigh. This is gonna stretch your quad, your hip flexor, and feels good. One more. And then from there, come up, and you're gonna stretch the low back. So you're sitting, the feet are gonna be apart and knees bent, and you sit nice and tall here, right? So from here, you're gonna nod your chin to your chest. You're gonna use your belly to contract in on yourself. The hands can come to the feet or the ankles, trying to get the crown of the head toward the floor. And then you stack your spine up nice and tall, and you lift up. Nod the chin to the chest, curling in on yourself. Curl down, stretch that low back. Stack it up, and nice and tall. Exhaling down into the stretch. So knees are bent so that you're not getting into the hamstring, right? So really just focusing on stretching the spine here, stretching the back muscles. Stacking it up. A few more times. So now we'll do a little side bending. So you're gonna sit in a straddle, right? So in your straddle, doesn't matter if your feet are flexed or pointed, but try it and stay turned out. The hands come behind the head. You're gonna do a little shift of the rib cage, and then a side bend. So actively now using the oblique muscles. And then from there, a twist. So you come underneath and then go out of it the way you came into it. Keep that twist, untwist yourself, and then come up. Shift the rib cage, and then you go into a side bend. So trying to keep the opposite seat bone down on the floor, and then you're twisting under, come back out, and then up. Do it again, shift, side bend, twist under, come back out of it the way you went in, and up. Shift, bend, twist, come back out, come back up. One more time, shift, and bend, twist. Keep ringing, twisting it out. Come back to the center, and then up. One more time, shift, bend, twist. Come back out of that twist. And then come on up, bring the legs in. Pull one foot in. So we're gonna stretch the Achilles tendon, flex the foot, take the hand on the ball of the foot, pull back on the ball of the foot, and then release it down, right? So you're flexing your foot. My knee is kind of in my armpit. I'm gonna pull it back and then release it down. Flex, pull back on the foot, and release. Flex, and release. So actively flexing the foot, and release. One more time, flex. Now you keep your whole foot on the floor and you flex just your toes back. So all 5 toes, pull back on those toes and bring it down. Flex the toes, pull back on the toes. So kind of take it easy on your toes. Right? You don't have to pull too hard because they're little toes. And you can't take it if you pull too hard on them. Flex. One more time. Now I'm staying with the same leg. I'm going to straighten my leg out. I'm going to bring my little strap back. I'm going to fold it in half and take the other foot and get it out of the way here. And then go around the ball of your foot with your strap. Sit tall. Flex your foot back, so you're actively flexing it back toward your face. And then you're going to come forward. And then wherever you are, you have to keep the knee straight and then let the foot relax. So you're flexing your foot and then release it. Flex the foot and release it. And flex and release and flex and release. One more flex and release. And then change sides. So we start all over again. Flex the foot, pull back on it, and release it down. Flex the foot, pull back on it, and release it down. Pulling back on the ball of the foot. The knee is kind of in the armpit here. And release. So stretching the Achilles tendon, stretching that lower calf muscle. Feels good on the ankles. Feels good on the lower calf. Sorry about my feet, they probably don't look very attractive. And then, oops, forgot my toes. So then flex just the toes back and then pull back on the toes. So when you're flexing your toes back, it's really good for the arch of your foot. It's really, really good for the whole entire foot. Flex just the toes back, strengthens your arch. Right, so especially when you're doing like those releves or pushing off for a leap, right? You want to have that nice flexion in the toes. That's the last thing that leaves the floor, right? Are your toes. Okay, then last one in this series is strap comes underneath the ball of the foot this time, not the arch of the foot, right? So you flex your foot back, you have a nice straight knee, you lean into it until you can feel that stretch, and then you relax it. So you're staying forward, and you're flexing it back, and you release. Flex it back, and release it. Flex, and release. And flex, and release, and flex. Pull it back gently. A couple more times there. And one more flex. And release. And we stretch the top of the foot, cross the ankle over. You're just gonna point your foot, take your hand on the top of your foot, right? Not so much on the toes, but push gently down on the top of the foot, but careful that you're not sickling it here, right? So no sickled foot, you're just gonna pull it down. So we wanna get the stretch in the whole top of the foot, top of the ankle. All right, so you point your foot, actively point your foot, and then give it a little help. Point your foot, give it a little help, and release. Point your foot, give it a little help. And then we change sides. So bring that leg in, cross it over. You can do this sitting on the floor, you can sit in a chair, it doesn't matter. Just point your foot and then give it a little assistance at the top of the foot. But always actively point your foot first. Don't just start like yanking on your feet, right? Just point, give it a little help, and release it. Point, give it a little help, and release it. A couple more times. And release. And one more.
So that's that whole series on the floor with your mat, with your strap, okay? Definitely do at least 8 repetitions on each exercise, but you can always do more, or you can go back and do something that you feel like needs a little bit more attention. Okay, now I'm gonna move my mat to the wall. Some of you all know this one. You all hate it. It's good for you. So I'm gonna take my mat, I'm gonna fold it. Like, see, I just did this to give myself a little cushion. I'm gonna turn hopefully that stays there. And so I'm going to take my knee, I'm gonna put it on the mat, and I'm gonna slide my shin up the wall, right? Then my other foot is down flat on the floor in a lunge, and I'm gonna fire up this left glute, and I'm gonna start to lift my body up, but I wanna keep this hip low, right? So the idea is to keep this hip low, so you're stretching out this hip flexor. You can actively push your foot into the wall, and you're gonna feel a lot of intensity in the whole front of your thigh. And hold that, and then change sides, right? So the knee comes on the mat, the other foot comes forward, push the foot into the wall, find your hips, this hip comes low, this glute is firing up, pushing that foot into the wall as best as you can, and stretching out the whole front of that hip flexor. And with the foot that's on the floor, I'm really pushing down into the floor strongly with my foot. Okay. But you want space between your heel and your butt. You don't want to try to push your butt and your heel together. You want that space so you can open up the front of the hip flexor. And then you come out of that. Don't do that stretch until you're super warmed up though. Don't try that stretch until you're super warmed up. So that's why I did all of that stuff first, because you don't want to try that stretch when you're cold. And then we can do also the double pigeon stretch, which feels good after all of that, which is to stack one ankle on top of the other. And then if that's super easy for you, right, make sure you're flexing your feet. The foot is not sickled, that's on top, and then you can bring your body forward and you can hold that for a little bit. This one for me is not very comfortable. And then on the other side, so like stacking your feet like your legs like fire logs, right? If there's like a massive gap here and you can't keep your hip down, then do it on the floor, or do this version of it, the ankle over thigh version. All right, and you're here. Let me come forward. And then release. And then after you've done all of that stuff, get into your splits, sit into your splits, do like a minute of each split, right? So we can do right, left, center, and then show me what it looks like. Put it up on Instagram, tag it, so we can see how you progress with your flexibility. But if you do all of these stretches, and you don't have to do every single one of them every day, but what the heck else are you doing? So you may as well do it. You will come back so much more flexible and you'll feel really, really good. All right, girls, hope everybody's doing okay and not going too nuts in your house. Stay well, keep moving. Love you all. Bye.